Who knows? He beat the Hitchcock.
On the NBA today, it's time for a change. Gotham corrals new backcourt help. Houston adds Rice to the mix, but how will the revamped Rockets cope without the Dream? The rules are in effect. Look, learn, listen as we break down the new laws in the NBA.
I don't agree with the referees as far as they said this is going to make their job easier. I think it gives them something else to think about.
Showtime celebrates the return of the Sonics glory threads. So fresh, so cool. The NBA today, next. Hi, and welcome to the NBA Today. I'm Pam Ward. As the WNBA gets ready for the playoffs, we start you off with a new-look NBA team in Houston. For the third time in 2.5 years, Glenn Rice is going to a new team. Rice, unhappy in his reserve role with the Knicks, is now a Rocket. Acquired in a three-team trade that involved the Mavericks as well as the Knicks. Rice, who averaged over 26 points a game in the 96-97 season, averaged just 12 last year coming off the bench for the Knicks. The three-time All-Star fought through a foot injury last year, playing 75 games for New York. The Rockets responsible for the $28.5 million left on Glenn's contract, which has 3 more years left on it. Shandon Anderson goes from Houston to New York. Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy has praised his defensive work. Shandon averaged over 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists last year with Houston. Like Anderson, Howard Isley started his career in Utah. He goes to New York from Dallas, where he played mostly shooting guard. Previously, most of Isley's work had been at the point. Speaking of point guards, 12-year veteran Muggsy Bogues goes to the Mavs from New York, where he never played a game after being picked up in the Mark Jackson-Chris Childs trade. With Glenn Rice going to Houston, that was the big name in this one.
In getting Glenn Rice, here's a guy that I coveted, and this organization has coveted for a long time. He's a dangerous offensive player, a guy who I think just fits with the young, penetrating guys we have, and I have a real good feeling about getting him.
Rudy lost Akeem Olajuwon, and with him gone, that leaves Houston with some inexperience on their front line. Maurice Taylor has 4 years of work under his belt. Eddie Griffin's a rookie. Glenn Rice becomes the elder spokesman, with Walt Williams the only other forward with more than 4 years in the NBA. Glenn Rice has taken some parting shots as he left New York, saying that Latrell Sprewell accelerated his departure. Rice told the New York Daily News that Spree got in the ears of both Jeff Van Gundy and GM Scott Layton, saying of Spree, "I'm pretty sure he had some impact. I don't think he was necessarily talking about me, but what he said didn't help." Rice did dismiss rumors that he and Van Gundy were at odds, calling all those rumors a bunch of bull. Well, Showtime has extended into the summer in Los Angeles. The Sparks, who set a WNBA record with 18 straight wins this season, play to a sold-out audience at the Staples Center for last week's game against the 4-time champion Comets. Word is comedian Martin Lawrence called for tickets and still couldn't get in. Monday night, with home court advantage already sewn up throughout the playoffs, L.A. played in Utah. It would be a tough one. The Sparks early here in the second half. Ikari Figs, Tamika Dixon to Lisa Leslie, who was left 2 alone underneath. Lisa had 11 points, 10 rebounds. Later, though, Adrian Goodson takes it from the wing and knocks it down. On to overtime, time winding down, tied at 78. Do we see double OT? No, we see the 18-game win streak come to an end as Goodson knocks down 2 points. The Stars win at 80-78. So the city of Los Angeles owns the league records for winning streaks in 2 of those leagues. In the NBA, the Lakers' record streak of 33 straight wins set in the 71-72 season is 1 game longer than the entire WNBA regular season. Both teams, Sparks and Lakers, score a lot of points, and both had close calls during their streaks. The Lakers beat Baltimore by 4 points. The Sparks, before they lost on Monday, had their closest call in a 2-point win over the Monarchs. You can see the Sparks finish out their regular season tonight, Tuesday at 8 Eastern Time on ESPN. They take on the Portland Fire with Jackie Stiles, who had 32 points against the Sparks last month. LA looking to rebound from Monday's overtime loss to Utah. See it tonight on ESPN. Still ahead on the NBA Today, we will take a closer look at the rules changes that we will see in the fall. But will they work? Some say it's all in the interpretation.
I think if the officials call the rule, and the rule says that if you're in the lane 3 seconds, that it is illegal defense.
And Kobe was a big hit in China, but a shoe company is taking the blame for one canceled event that left some locals livid.
Adidas would like to stress that Kobe Bryant was not involved.
21 years after he broke into the NBA as a player with the Nuggets, Kiki Vandeweghe has been named their general manager. He spent the last 2 seasons as the Mavericks director of player personnel, as well as their assistant coach. The Raptors bucked the trend this offseason, managing to hold on to free agents Antonio Davis, Alvin Williams, and Jerome Williams. Most teams would have been happy with that, but the Raptors went 2 steps better, bringing in what could be the centerpiece of a championship run in Hakeem Olajuwon. And, of course, by the way, they also got Vince Carter to agree to a contract extension. After it all went down, Vince sat down with David Aldridge.
Would you have signed early if Davis and Williams hadn't gotten signed?
I don't think so. That was a big part of my decision. It was just a small factor, but it was a big small factor. It meant a lot, and I had so many things that I had to get answered to myself, but that was something that was important.
After what happened with Tracy last summer, did you think this organization would spend money on free agents?
I think by us playing well, making it to the second round, Game 7, it took care of a lot of that. I think it helped keep the guys we had and get what we wanted in Hakeem. So I just think success in this business is gonna help you out. And now that Toronto has won games and established themselves as a winning team, so to speak, guys are looking at Toronto like, maybe. And we just have to continue to do that.
How much recruiting did you do for Hakeem?
I only made 1 phone call, but it was a good one. It was a good one. We talked, and I just laid it all on the table for him, and he expressed what he wanted, and we just not try to sell Toronto, but just let him know the opportunities that are here for him, and what I enjoy about it. It was his decision after that.
You said your mother did not talk to you at all during this.
Not really.
Did you not want her to talk to you?
I did. I just wanted to know her thoughts, and because she comes up a lot. So, of course, if she's not comfortable with the place, I would like to know that. And she just said, here's what I think, and it wasn't much. And after that, I always hear from her. I always hear her say, "It's your decision."
Curry looking for Carter. Carter runs to the near side. He stops. He shoots. His shot is up. It's off the rim, and the Sixers advance to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Have you thought at all about that whole day controversy and what happened there?
No, it's a thing of the past. That's the thing. And when I do think about it, I'm proud. I'm proud of the way I was able to fight through it and just handle myself in the manner that maybe some other people wouldn't. And it was a special time for me, and I wasn't going to let anybody spoil it. And yes, it was spoiled by a missed shot, but you miss shots all the time. So I'm proud of my decision. I look back and just look at my gown and just say, hey, you made history. And in my mind, I think I made history. Not for the game of basketball, but for the game of life. And that makes me feel good.
Now, Vince is a superstar, but Kobe Bryant is now a global superstar. In China, he's so popular that he couldn't make it to a public appearance. The crowd of about 1,500 people created enough congestion that authorities would not allow Kobe's car through. Some in the disappointed crowd threw bottles when they heard that the event was canceled. But all was not bad in China. Kobe did hold a clinic near the Great Wall north of Beijing. He said he loved watching the kids play and said some of them had pretty good hops. One player even did a reverse dunk with a T-shirt pulled over his head. Kobe's trip was sponsored by Adidas. The shoe company did issue an apology for the one event that was called off.
We apologize for any disappointment to fans following Adidas' cancellation of Kobe Bryant's appearance at that event. We also apologize to Kobe Bryant, who is extremely heartbroken because he was not able to meet his fans that were in attendance.
Kobe also had a news conference of his own in China, which drew over 50 journalists from that country. Fresh off his second straight NBA title, Kobe was asked about the new rules changes and how he thinks they will affect the Lakers this year.
We're looking forward to the new rule changes because that means we can do different things with our defense. We're excited about it. Shaquille's excited about it because he gets to kind of stay underneath the basket and protect the basket for us. So we're looking forward to it.
Kobe and company get their first chance to play under the new rules when they hit the hardwood in Honolulu, where they open their preseason against the Warriors October 7th. A week later, those same two teams will hook up again in Tokyo. Well, the team that Kobe's Lakers toppled for the NBA crown is going through some changes in their front office. The longtime face of the 76ers, Pat Croce, has stepped down as president. And as John Anderson reports, it's a rare step backwards for a man who always seems to be going forward.
Pat Croce could say we hardly knew you. Then we'd be lying. You showed us yourself. Not a suit and tie guy, a people person rather than pretentious president. In the slightly off-center spotlight that is usually occupied by NBA executives, you commanded center stage. And why not? You lived the life of a rock star, leader of the pack, scalar of ball structures, barber. The bald Charles Barkley said it best.
He's the best owner in sports.
All you do is larger than life. And that's easy, of course, compared to your executive brethren. Elgin Baylor, you look marvelous. The most excitement you see is returning to a well-worn seat in Secaucus, New Jersey every June. Jerry Krause, the rings are nice, I guess. But why the sullen mug? Take a tip from Pat and turn that frown upside down. It's not that bad. Rod Thorne, former NBA top cop, now president of the Nets. You don't climb bridges. You're talked down from them. Kevin McHale, you've been a fixture at the Target Center, but a little tampering kept you and your large sweater conspicuously absent this past season. Bob Whitsitt, you work for an incredibly wealthy man. And to your credit, you've assembled a talented group in Portland. Technically speaking, things get a little out of hand. You won nothing. Michael Jordan, sure you're among the best to ever play the game. You're bored sitting on the board of the Wizards. You need to flirt with a return to get your kicks. What did Pat do for fun? He fell from the ceiling. Came close to making himself roadkill. He wasn't afraid to show a sensitive side. And he mediated a turf war that made Athens and Sparta jealous. Alan and Larry in love. We hope this isn't goodbye, Pat. You've made our lives more interesting. You were a maverick, and now you've left us. This maverick.
Up next on the NBA Today, officials had a lot of homework to do this summer preparing for rules changes.
What we've seen is a simplification of what we had tried to do before with the illegal defenses and which became unsuccessful.
Wolves begin their preseasons with a European vacation of sorts. Hakeem, Vince, and company kicking things off October 11th in Cologne, Germany. And that same day, the Timberwolves will play in Italy against the two-time Italian League champs. Then the Raptors and Pups will get together with each other on the 13th in Cologne. The Cavaliers have added free agent guard Bryant Stith to their roster. New Cavs head coach John Lucas was an assistant for 2 of Stith's 8 years in Denver. The 6'5" guard averaged just under 10 points a game last year with the Celtics. Grant Hill says he's starting to feel and, more importantly, play like his old self again. He played in only 4 games with the Magic last year before a second ankle surgery sidelined him for the rest of the season. Grant says a few months ago he couldn't even dunk, but now says he's 100% and ready to go. He will play in his first public basketball game since the injury August 24th, a charity game at Duke. The NBA is going to have a new look this season with a number of rules changes. The one that sticks out the most, teams will be allowed to play zone defense. Will the changes kickstart some of the more stagnant and repetitive offenses that we have seen lately? David Aldridge has some answers.
The upcoming NBA season will feature unprecedented rules changes designed to eliminate offensive isolation and increase movement. The most significant change will allow teams to play any defense, including zones.
What we've seen is a simplification of what we had tried to do before with the illegal defenses and which became unsuccessful because it really led to more isolation than we really needed in our game.
But to keep teams from stuffing the lanes full of defenders, an additional rule was passed limiting defensive players to 3 seconds in the paint. Presumably, this should keep a shot blocker like Dikembe Mutombo from camping out in the lane. And it should also keep teams from using multiple defenders to try and guard the likes of Shaquille O'Neal.
I think if the officials call the rule And the rule says that if you're in the lane 3 seconds, that it is illegal defense. Tim Duncan's, you can't be in there 5, 4, or 5. You know, David Robinson, Shaquille, you can't be coming out at 4. You know, if we stick with the rules, I don't have a problem with the game because you can still give the ball to your best players and isolate them in the post position.
Also, teams will have only 8 seconds to advance the ball past midcourt instead of 10. The hope is to speed up the game at both ends, with defenses attacking more, and offenses trying to get the ball down court before the defense can set up.
It used to be when we pressed, we pressed maybe more than other teams. If a team wanted to clear you out, to give it to the point guard and wave everybody else and hold it for 2 seconds. They can't hold it for 2 seconds now. So even that is going to speed up the game.
We played in Los Angeles, and I think the scoring had increased. I think most games were in the 90s, close to 100. And I think that is probably due to the 8 seconds. It's just the fact that teams are pushing it.
The summer leagues provided a testing ground for players, coaches, and officials to get used to the new rules.
Did you notice how you were sprinting back up court a couple of times? Because you're hanging too long.
Will this simplify the game for officials?
I believe so. Having had the privilege of sitting on the committee when we went through this, that was one of the questions that was asked. And we went through the history of the illegal defense, and we went back to when I first came into basketball, we had defense with 3 seconds. Okay, and it was, we used to laugh. They said, "What did you call it?" Yeah, about once every 2 months.
I don't agree with the referees as far as they said this is going to make their job easier. I think it gives them something else to think about. So if it's giving you something else to think about, it makes your job just as hard.
They're missing quite a bit, but they know that, and that's what the summer is all about.
Coaches also believe the new rules will change some of their roster decisions.
Without question. You know, I think the impact on the game over the course of 2 or 3 years will be to have rosters where guys shoot it better. I think now defensive people will leave non-shooters, and you've got to be able to make them pay a little bit.
I think it puts a premium on guys that can really run the floor, you know, and guys that can shoot the ball. Because if you're athletic and you get a rebound and you can really push it, then you don't have to worry about zone defenses because you're looking to score off the first pass.
I think there will be some changes. I think there's a premium, obviously, on shooting. And this is not a new concept with the new rules. But if you have 4 people that can shoot the basketball from the perimeter, then it doesn't matter what defense people are in. You're going to spread the court and you're going to be able to attack a little better.
Still ahead on the NBA today, Showtime is fashion showtime for the Seattle Sonics. The Grizzlies tip things off in their new hometown of Memphis when they host the Trailblazers October 9th. 3 days later, the Mavs show off their new arena as they host the Celtics at the American Airlines Arena. And Lamar Odom and Darius Miles face off with Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, and the Magic in Mexico City October 21st. That's the 9th time the NBA has held games in the Mexican capital. Sean Bradley has signed a 7-year contract to stay with the Mavericks. The 29-year-old tall guy, 5th in the NBA in blocks last year, averaging 2.8 a game. Born in Germany and just granted citizenship there, Sean will also join teammate Dirk Nowitzki on that national team. Is Sean Bradley worth that much money? Well, that depends on what you base the contract on. There have been lots of questionable deals, not only this offseason, but going back to the days of John Koncak. As Kenny Mayne tells us, it's not always a case of what a player is worth, but rather what a team is willing to pay.
Here's what the market was willing to bear as early as 1989. The Hawks forked over $13 million for 4 years to John Koncak. He became known as John Contract, the guy who averaged 7.4 points per game for his career and more than $3 million a season on that deal.
It was unfortunate for John. It was unfortunate for Atlanta, and he seemed to bear the brunt of all the comparisons that are made with free agent signings that seem to be out of whack.
Koncak can't be blamed for taking a good deal. It's Atlanta that appropriated the money, and apparently there was more in the bank, for the Hawks have agreed to give backup center Nazr Mohammed $25 million over 5 years. Last season, Mohammed played in 28 games. If he equals that output next season, he will earn nearly $180,000 per game played. That's nearly $7,000 per minute.
John Koncak, no question, is the grandfather of this sort of trend. I think Jim McIlvaine would also have to make that dubious Hall of Fame.
In 1996, the Sonics signed McIlvaine, he of the 2.1 career scoring average. He signed a 7-year, $35 million deal. Before you start judging price-to-earnings ratio too quickly, keep in mind, during his first year in Seattle, he doubled his career average, scoring 4 points a game. Prior to the 1998-99 season, New Jersey traded for McIlvaine. In 3 years with the Nets, he averaged 2 points per game while earning over $140,000 per contest. Recently, New Jersey agreed to terms with its new center of the future, 7-footer Todd McCullough, who will make about $34 million over the next 6 years. If McCullough's career averages hold up next season, he'll make $24,000 per point, $35,000 per rebound, and over $200,000 per block. Using the same formula, Shaquille O'Neal would earn almost $14,000 less per point, $12,000 less per rebound, and $94,000 less per block shot. Shaquille O'Neal, with his 10-year, $193 million deal, is getting shortchanged.
Coming up next on Showtime, the Sonics are going throwback with their new old unis. NBA playoffs start on ESPN2 Thursday at 7:30 Eastern with a playoff preview show, followed by a doubleheader with an Eastern Conference playoff opener at 8 Eastern. Follow that with a Western Conference opener. On Friday, more doubleheader stuff on ESPN. The Cleveland Rockers open in Charlotte at 7 Eastern, followed by a Game 1 of a Western Conference series. The Sonics have announced they will return to their old-look uniforms this year, one reminiscent of the emblem used from 75 to 95. We look back now in Showtime.
Come and see the Supersonics play. Have a night of action watching the NBA. Sonics on the team that people talk about. The only game to give you what you're looking for.
The Seattle Supersonics' first ever NBA championship.
Yo, this is Sean Kemp coming at you in full effect.
I mean, tomahawk one.
We'll see you next Tuesday at 5 Eastern for another edition of the NBA Today. We leave you with a look at Akeem with his for him. And then in the cruise.